One fun way where we could apply deductive reasoning is when we try to solve logic puzzles. Now, what are logic puzzles? Basically, they are puzzles that we need to use our power of deductive reasoning to solve. So this is an example of a logic puzzle that we will try to solve using our deductive reasoning. So we have four neighbors. We have Sean, Maria, Sarah, and Brian. And each of our neighbor that we have here have a different occupation. So from the following clues, we need to determine the occupation of each neighbor. Now, first clue that we have, Maria gets home from work after the banker but before the dentist. Second clue is Sarah, who is the last to get home from work, is not the editor. Third clue, the dentist and Sarah leave for work at the same time. And our last clue is that the banker lives next door to Brian. Now, using our deductive reasoning, it's very easy for us to find out which is which, no? Who is who? Who is the banker? Who is the chef? Who is the dentist? Who is the editor? But it would be easier for us to solve this logic puzzle when we use tables. Now, here is an example of a table that we're going to utilize to solve this logic puzzle. Let me bring up the first clue. Now, using our deductive reasoning, how can we use the table to solve this logic puzzle? Whenever we hit a clue that tells us that this person cannot be the banker or cannot be the specific occupation, we put an X on the cell that represents that person and the occupation, the intersection between the occupation and that person. Okay, for the first clue, Maria gets home from work after the banker but before the dentist. Now, from this clue, what can we deduce? We can deduce that Maria is not the banker and she's also not the dentist because she gets home from work after the banker and before the dentist. So we need to put an X on the intersection of Maria and those two occupations, and that's here for the banker, X, and then we'll put 1 here that represents this is X from our first clue, and here for the dentist from our first clue as well. Now, what is our second clue? Our second clue is that Sarah, who is the last to get home from work, is not the editor. So if Sarah is not the editor, we have to put an X in the intersection of Sarah and editor, and that's here. And this is from clue number 2. Okay? Third clue. The dentist and Sarah leave for work at the same time. So if Sarah and the dentist leave for work at the same time, then Sarah cannot be the dentist. Okay. Last clue. The banker lives next door to Brian. The banker lives next door to Brian, so Brian cannot be the banker. Okay? And this gets X because of clue number 4. Now, when you look at it, our table is still a little bit bare. No, we could not really have a conclusion yet based on the obvious obvious eliminations that we generated from these 4 clues. So we have to look back. Maybe we missed something. No, maybe we missed something. Look at clue number 1 and clue number 2. It says here that Sarah, who is the last to get home from work, is not the editor. Okay? Sarah, who gets home from work, is not the editor. So, what are the other 2 occupations that Sarah could possibly be? Banker and chef, right? Banker and chef. But look here. Look here in clue number 1. It says that Maria gets home from work after the banker. So meaning to say banker is not the last to get home from work because Maria gets home after the banker. So from clue number 1 and clue number 2, we could cross out banker as an occupation that Sarah might have. So it's not banker. Sarah is not the banker. So what occupation is left for Sarah? Well, chef. No, that's the only cell available along Sarah's row. So Sarah is our chef, the first occupation that we have found. Sarah is the chef. Now, if Sarah is the chef, then Sean, Maria, and Brian cannot be the chef anymore. Now, look at Maria. There's only one possible occupation for Maria left, and that is being the editor. So, Maria is definitely the editor because no other occupation can be, right? All other occupations have been crossed out from our example, from our clues. Now, if Maria is the editor, then Sean and Brian cannot be the editor. And because of the elimination of other possible occupation, we could conclude that Brian is definitely the dentist because that's the only possible occupation left. So if Brian is the dentist, then Sean cannot be the dentist, and the occupation left for Sean is being the banker. Now we have solved the logic puzzle using deductive reasoning. We have concluded that Sean is the banker, Maria is the editor, Sarah is our chef, and Brian is our dentist. And I hope you had fun solving this logic puzzle using our deductive reasoning powers.